Hello from the Olympic Sculpture Park here in Seattle, a beautiful place. A lot of photographers come here to capture just the right shot. We're going to meet one today. He actually got his first camera as a gift from his grandparents after graduating. Then he traveled the world documenting beauty until 2020 happened. That's when he decided to refocus his efforts right here at home and document the harsh realities unfolding in his neighborhood. So Andrew, when did you decide to refocus your passion for purpose here?
It was traveling actually right when COVID hit. I came back to Seattle and I saw it was a different world when I got back. Everything was boarded up and all of a sudden some beautiful artwork started popping up and I got really inspired and decided I could really make a difference by helping share their images.
Are there any particular images that really stand out to you?
I have a shot of the Space Needle with the hashtag We Got This Seattle, and that was kind of at the beginning of the pandemic and giving people hope. I think it really resonated with people. I feel like in the history books, looking back on this, everyone's gonna spend hours reading about 2020, and I did talk to my grandparents about some of the craziest moments of their lives, and they're saying, honestly, right now is some of the craziest times.
What kind of responsibility do you suddenly feel to document all of this?
It's been an incredible time right now. People are passionate about change. They want change within different areas of society, and me being down there, being able to showcase some of this raw content has been really important. I happen to actually be visiting my grandma over in Bellevue the weekend of the George Floyd death. From the protests, when the National Guard came in, a lot of the shutdowns and the curfew, and then as things started moving up towards Capitol Hill, I covered the whole evolution, and it was just an incredible time to be able to showcase some of that work. That aerial shot of the Black Lives Matter when it was first black and white on the street, and then when they painted in the images, I think those were kind of the two most impactful images for me.